Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that plunges right into complex topics, aiming to pull out those golden nuggets of knowledge you need. Today, we're diving into Linux system performance, specifically power management. Our mission for this deep dive is pretty straightforward, really. Maybe you're trying to squeeze every last minute out of your laptop battery. Or, perhaps you're running a home server 24/7 and you want to shave a bit off the old energy bill. Efficiency is the name of the game. And right at the heart of this is a tool called PowerTOP. It's from Intel, actually, and maybe a bit overlooked, but incredibly powerful.
That's absolutely spot on. We rely so much on digital stuff these days, right? And understanding, controlling how much power your devices are actually using. That's not just for huge data centers anymore.
Nope.
It's become a really practical thing for pretty much every Linux user out there. So yeah, this deep dive is all about how PowerTalk can give you surprising control over your system's energy footprint, helping you find and tame those power drains you probably didn't even know were there.
Okay, so let's get into it. Before we dig into how it works, what's the first big win? Like that immediate aha moment when someone fires up PowerTOP.
That's a really good question because a lot of people think they already know, right? They figure, oh, it must be that big game I'm playing, like Cyberpunk 2077, which obviously uses way more power than, say, just typing in a word processor.
Yeah, that difference is huge, obviously.
Exactly. But PowerTAP, it often flags things that are totally unexpected. It might be some obscure background process, or maybe a device that's just not configured quite right, quietly sipping power. Seeing that is often the first big win, that little shock of, didn't know that was using energy.
Right, so it's not just the obvious stuff, the apps you're running, it's the hidden things too. That cyberpunk versus word processor analogy makes sense for the extremes, but for an average user, is digging this deep really going to change much day to day, besides maybe saving pennies on the bill?
Oh, it absolutely can. What's really insightful, I think, is looking at how PowerTop started. It was originally built to find the things stopping a CPU from going into its deepest sleep states. Properly resting when idle.
Okay, like a real power nap, not just dozing.
Precisely. And it got really good at finding those tiny little background tasks or misconfigurations that stop the CPU from getting that deep rest. It's like your system's constantly got this low-level energy drip going on. And the database, it built up over time. It's like this huge collection of known power problems and solutions. It's expanded way beyond just CPU sleep states now. It covers, pretty much everything about system power draw.
Now, you mentioned it came from Intel. My first thought, naturally, is, okay, this is an Intel-only tool then.
Yeah.
But the source material kind of hinted otherwise, suggesting it works more broadly. Can you unpack that a bit?
Yeah, this is actually one of the coolest things about PowerTop. It's surprisingly versatile. Despite Intel creating it, it runs just fine on a whole range of hardware. We're talking AMD processors, even systems built on ARM architecture.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it supports modern hardware, the latest Linux kernels. It can even look at GPUs and other connected bits and pieces. Provided, of course, you have the right kernel modules loaded. Those are like the drivers Linux uses to talk efficiently to the hardware.
All right, the modules.
So connecting this back to you, the listener, especially if you're running, say, a self-hosted setup at home on Linux, this wide compatibility is really key. PowerTop can analyze pretty much everything running software services and help you tune it all for maximum efficiency. And yeah, for those always-on devices, even small savings add up. Every watt counts towards that utility bill, right? Over time, it's definitely not insignificant.
Okay, finding the energy vampires is great. Step one, check. But let's be real. Knowing is one thing, doing something about it is another. Does PowerTop actually tell you what to do? Or are you left scratching your head trying to figure out the fix? Because believe me, I've chased rogue processes before. It's not fun. Is PowerTop the Ghostbuster here?
Yeah, you could call it that.
Yeah.
It's definitely more than just a list of problems. Think of it like having a super efficient energy auditor right there in your machine. It doesn't just report, it gives you detailed reports. You can get them in HTML or CSV format, which is handy. And like a lot of deep system tools, you do need pseudo permissions. Administrator access, basically.
It used to get under the hood properly.
Exactly, to really see everything and make changes. It also tracks power use and activity when you're on battery, gives you estimates, and doing a calibration run really helps improve the accuracy of those estimates.
Okay, so it gives recommendations. How specific are they?
Pretty specific. It might suggest, say, disabling a service you don't actually need, or adjusting settings for a specific device like a USB dongle or a network card to use less power. Things that help you squeeze the most out of every watt. And what's really neat is after you run a calibration and get a report, you can try changing some settings, maybe switch a device's power profile, then run PowerTOP again and see the difference in the data. Compare the before and after to see if you hit those recommended outcomes.
That makes sense. But what about folks who maybe don't want to spend ages digging through reports and manually tweaking things? Is there a simpler way? A set it and forget it's option.
Yes. For the truly hands-off approach, there absolutely is. That's the magic of the auto-tune feature.
Auto tune. Okay, tell me more.
It's brilliant, really. Just one command. You run PowerTop P with auto-tune, usually set up to run when your system boots up, and it automatically applies a whole bunch of known, safe optimizations to put your system into a more efficient state.
Without you needing to manually flip switches in the settings.
Exactly. You don't have to pore over the data yourself or make all those fine-tuned changes manually. The sheer automation is fantastic. You essentially tell PowerTop P, hey, optimize things for me, set it up once, and then you can basically forget it's even running in the background. It just quietly keeps things efficient for you. That's a huge win, whether you're on a laptop needing battery life or running a server wanting lower bills.
Okay, this sounds incredibly useful. So whether it's stretching laptop battery or trimming a server energy use, PowerTop really does seem like something Linux users should check out. It's not just giving you numbers. It gives you actionable data, tells you what to tweak for actual power savings.
Absolutely. And, thinking about this whole process, it raises an interesting point. PowerTop P is open source, right? And our source material mentioned a couple of other tools too, like BTOP and Scapandre. So beyond just PowerTop itself, what does this whole deep dive into Linux power management maybe tell us about the broader potential of the open source community? Like, how much power is there really in people collaborating to solve these kinds of everyday problems? How many other hidden gems like PowerTop might be out there just waiting to help us optimize our digital lives? Something to think about.